What's up, world? It's Katrina
and Marlina, and this is Excess Baggage,
the podcast where two friends in their 30s unpack all of life's baggage. This episode, we will be unpacking being Black and gay.
Okay, let's start the show.
Hey, girl, what's your baggage today?
Well, I just got off a plane and rushed home so I can do this interview. So just, people driving crazy. There was a lot of stress involved, but I made it. So it's baggage, but it's, I'm airing it out. Everything's good. I had to go on a work trip that was unexpected, which I said pre or post COVID, I was like, I'm going to go wherever the wind takes me. So I was kind of excited that it happened. Okay. But at the same time, I was like, wait a minute. Oh, shit. I got to book this. I got to pack. I got to go.
Like I actually have to do it.
Yes.
Follow through with it.
It was pretty nuts. But, I made it through and I made it back in one piece. Although my flight, here's the real baggage. My flight on the way back, there was 30 minutes of turbulence. And I was sitting there freaking out. The guy I was by the window, and the guy that was sitting in the aisle, he looked over at me. I looked over at him like, what the hell is going on? To the point that I was looking at the screen in front of me. And the guy said, plane is going 464 miles per hour. And I go, is that normal? Are we supposed to be going that fast? So I'm Googling while I'm shaking and everything's moving. I'm like, oh, hell no, I'm not about to die on this flight. It felt a little weird, Magic Mountain-ish, but,
30 minutes of turbulence is a long ass time.
It is, because we were over Michigan and the captain was like, there's the Lake Michigan winds are really rough right now. Everyone just calm down. And, I'm going to throw on the seatbelt sign. I'm like, bitch, you don't have to tell me about the seatbelt sign. I don't think anybody's getting up at this moment, but
right.
That's it.
That's it.
That's all.
I almost died on a plane for 30 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, I made it.
I'm glad you made it.
What about you? What's your baggage?
My baggage today is I have found myself in another season of grief. In the last 9 months, there's been about 5 seasons of that. I'm on season 5. Okay. So I'm just moving through that and all the things that come with that. I feel like I'm honestly ready to just stop grieving people and things and relationships and dynamics and all the things. It feels like the last 9 months for me has just been constant grief. So yeah, I'm just moving through that in this moment, which means there are tears, there is some sadness, there's a lot of anger in some moments as well. Letting people go.
Our last episode.
Not wanting to let people go.
Oh yeah, right.
So yeah, all of that. That is my baggage today. And I'm just trying to move through it and be gentle with myself and move with ease.
Yeah. And so today we have a special guest, one of my best friends growing up, and we both grew up with him. His name's Cam, resident superstar, definition of Black boy joy, just somebody that's always, to me, in a good place, even when he's not. And I just want to introduce him and give him the mic and find out what his baggage is today.
Oh, wow.
So welcome to our show, our very first guest.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you guys for creating this platform. I know there's so many podcasts out and, trying to find your way, amongst the crowd. But I really appreciate you guys. And of course, yes, we have known each other for a very long time since we were basically in diapers. So I'm super excited to be here with you guys and share just my experience on what we're going to be talking about today.
Yes. So Cam, this is your first time, so we
Sure.
always start with our baggage. What is your baggage today, if you have any?
What is my baggage today? Oh my gosh. Let's see. I think a little bit of my baggage is so yesterday was Father's Day. And
Mm-hmm.
I got to spend the day with my family, with my dad and my grandfather. But my heart was a little heavy because I realized that they're getting much older. Um,
Mm.
and I was just found myself like kind of just looking at them and just like, oh my God, they're not the same men that I knew when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a lot to deal with. I mean, it was beautiful, to be with them, and I'm happy they're still alive. And despite any health issues that they're having, it was just great to be in their presence. And I typically kind of remove myself emotionally when it comes to that, just because that's just how I deal with issues and things like that when it comes to health and family and parents and grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably my baggage for today. I was really reflecting today, just kind of like looking at pictures that I took yesterday with my grandfather and my dad and everybody, and I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe that like they're in their 70s and their 80s, and
Mm.
this is what happens to people. Like they get old and you think that they're like superheroes and they're going to be alive forever, and then you realize like, wow, like everybody dies.
Right.
It
Right.
kind of hit me.
Oh God. Oh
Yeah.
man, I
So that's my
know.
baggage. But other than that, it's a great day. It's a beautiful day, and I'm happy to be alive.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes to all of that.
Yeah.
I actually missed Father's Day for my grandfather, and I felt really bad. But
Mm.
he was so encouraging of me going on this trip because he knows that ultimately that's what I want, to be able to just go and do, and even if it's work, just be free. That's what he
Mm.
wants for me. So, I wrote him a really nice card and everything. He drove me to the airport, picked me up. So
Aw.
he knew what it was. He's just like, just go. I'm fine. I'm good. And I'm like, I believe you. I believe you. He's like, don't feel bad. Just go have a good time. I'm like, okay.
That's
Um,
beautiful.
so I feel that. Yeah, I don't want to even go into that because I will be a whole ass mess when that
That's a
time
whole other
comes.
episode.
Right. It's a whole other episode. But today our topic is being Black and gay. And the reason why I brought up this is because it is Pride Month.
Hmm.
And, I have a lot of friends in the LGBTQ plus community. But in the past, I've always noticed that there's a difference between being Black versus white, not only just, race, but also within your sexuality, which I always thought was just strange. Because I'm like, why do we care what people are doing in their bedrooms? I don't know. Or how they're living their lives? I don't know. But it definitely, I've seen differences. And, every time I'd go to a pride event, it would be heavily, I don't want to say whitewashed, but a little whitewashed.
Heavily
And
whitewashed.
yes,
You can say that.
it's been whitewashed. And I have been like, okay, well, I know plenty of, gay Black people. So why aren't they lifting them up as much as they
Hmm.
can? Especially, if it's all about Stonewall in 1969, there were so many Black, gay, lesbian people that were on the front lines.
Activists, yeah.
So I just wanted to bring Cam on to ask about his experience with that, because I don't want to talk about something that I haven't actually experienced, just things that I've heard.
Hmm.
So, Cam, what would you say about that?
Oh, I mean, honestly, wow. It's such a complex topic, and such a intersection of so many things. Being first of all, being Black, being a man, and being gay.
Mm.
And I guess I probably would start at my experience like when I was younger, and what I knew to be Black and gay, and then kind of, I guess, maybe walk through me, quote unquote, coming out, me
Mm.
exploring my sexuality, me exploring what it means to be gay, what it means to be Black and gay, and within the community. So I remember being younger, and we would go to church quite often. And I remember, there were different topics that would come up, about homosexuality and the Bible, how it's a sin and blah, blah, blah. And I can remember being so young and like literally cringing in church because I knew that something was different about me and I didn't know what it was. Right. And so, of course, I was attracted to girls, but I knew that I was also attracted to boys. And, I remember, being in church and like literally being scared of like being caught, you know what I mean? And I was so young, but I had no idea what that was. I just knew that I was having different feelings about, I saw men and I was attracted to that. I saw, girls and I was attracted to that as well. And, going through like middle school and, up to high school, I did have a lot of experiences that I think kind of helped shape me, into who I am today. I was always a very curious kid. And so, I was always asking questions. This is early on when we had dial-up internet and I was actually sneaking to watch gay porn. And just really just looking at any type of outlet to really figure it out because I didn't have anybody as close to me, that I could talk to about it. And of course, like when you're kids, you always like, there's always like, oh, that he's gay, or like there's a gay boy in the class, there might be a gay girl in the class, and you just kind of like,
I don't like.
Yeah,
I don't like that label.
Yeah.
I actually, I'm interjecting because I don't like that label. I remember being young and adults saying that to me about you, not necessarily like, I'm not talking about my parents, but just adults saying that to me about you. And I remember to myself thinking, okay, if you're the adult, you're supposed to be the example. I don't see how you telling me, a kid who doesn't understand that either, why are you in a way bullying this person without them knowing? But it's a form of bullying because I just always was like, why are we even having this conversation? I'm like, oh, he likes to dance, so now he's gay. Like that's how I would think. I would think like these people are happy, they like to dance or whatever, they're funny, and that means they're gay. And I would get so upset, to my detriment, probably got me in trouble a bunch of times, but I was always like, what are we talking about? But yeah.
That, it's so interesting because I also remember kind of being younger and adults kind of not, I can't really, like, my memory is not saying like they were actually talking about me, but it was like asking questions. Right. And so, I remember just being nervous all the time, you know what I mean? Like getting asked questions and, my mom, I remember even my mom, like clearly our relationship has grown and I'll talk about that as part of my growth and my journey, my experience. But like, I remember, my mom asking me when I was younger, like, why don't you hang around more boys? Like I was always around the girls. I was always into dance and art. I was always creative. And it was that I was coming into myself of being really a young Black gay boy. You know what I mean? And so when you're growing up, I mean, we went to an all Black elementary school, right? And so there were a few other boys in our class that are now gay, you know what I mean? And so I think we kind of all knew when we were younger, it's like, we're the same, you know what I mean? But we don't know what this thing is, right? And so it's like either, oh, you're super feminine, or you are not masculine, or it's like all these different intersections of like what it means to one, just be a human being, you know what I mean? And it's like people put labels on you and things like that. So I digress. But, as I basically started growing up, and I think around my teenage years is when I really, like, my curiosity about my sexuality really, really sprung out, you know what I mean? And so, and I say that because, we went to middle school at a small private school, predominantly white. We were in West Hollywood, which is gay mecca of LA.
It's like gay capital.
Right. But my reference point to that was really not Black gay. It was white gay. You know what I mean? And that's all I knew. And that's what I used to see. And I was like, oh, well, I guess this is what it means to be gay. Until I realized like, no, that's actually not what it means to be Black and gay.
Mm.
And so I guess fast forward, high school is probably when I started experimenting, really, messing around with men. And that's when I had my first boyfriend, when I had sex with a guy at 16, and really coming into myself and really understanding what it meant. And of course I was still young. So I had no idea, excuse my language, what the fuck I was doing. I just knew I was acting on these feelings and these emotions that I knew for myself were natural. You know what I mean? It wasn't a forced thing. It wasn't a light switch where I was like, oh yeah, I want to be gay today. Like I want to be straight tomorrow, And so really it's been a long journey. And I mean, I'll let you guys like ask the questions to preface the conversation, because there's so much to talk about and so much to really unpack. But that's just basically just talking about like the early development of myself, and just aware of my surroundings and learning things and exploring and experimenting, and really just growing as a person.
Do you feel like when you did have that experience in high school, or because I mean, I was there and not there, but there with you throughout high school, and did you feel like you had to have girlfriends?
Yeah, I mean, when you are Black and you are gay, there's this front that I feel like you have to put on, you know what I mean? Or at least that's what I thought, that's what I knew. It's like you're either hiding it or you're trying to suppress your feelings. So you're doing all the things that you think society told you to do is right. You know what I mean? Like, you're not supposed to be gay, so you need to have a girlfriend. So I was attracted to girls. Like, yeah, I had girlfriends. I've had sex with girls, but it wasn't really being true to who I was, you know what I mean? And so probably around maybe 17, 18, that's when I knew that I was like, okay, like I am actually a gay man. Like I'm not straight. I'm not bisexual. Like I like men. Like I like men. And when you come to the realization of that for yourself, it is very, very hard to like grasp that idea, because you think about like the future and what your life is going to look like. And, fast forward now, I can never imagine that I would be in the situation that I'm in right now with my partner. Just this life that I've built and all the experiences that I've had, because, looking back at 18, I was like, I'm going to be gay. I'm going to be left alone, and I'm not going to know how to figure this shit out, And so I think my experience really catapulted when I left LA and I went to Atlanta.
ATL, shoddy.
Yeah.
I could totally see that.
Well, yeah. I could. I always wondered about that, though. I always wondered about Atlanta. Like, I know that there's like a big gay community in Atlanta, but I never knew whether or not it was celebrated, because I would think about like historically Black colleges and all these things. And I would think like, are they having pride, events? Right. Are they doing things like that? Or is it kind of like, okay, yeah, we know this, but we're not really talking about it?
I will say this. My experience in Atlanta was possibly the best experience that I've had in my entire life. One, because I went to a historically Black college. I went to Morehouse College, all male, all Black, just beautiful, diverse, from the entire spectrum of Black men that you can think of. And then also too, I was in Atlanta, which is I think now considered like the Black gay Mecca. I mean, DC was the Black gay Mecca, but Atlanta was where I really came into myself, and it's also the place that I came out to my parents. After freshman year, the summer that I was moving into my first apartment, my mom was down in Atlanta, and I've told this story several times. All my closest friends know the story. People that ask me about my coming out story or whatever, I'm like, I've been out since 1988, but like, I guess you want to say this is like my my mom had moved me to my new apartment in Atlanta, and it was I was going into my sophomore year, and we were at lunch, and, she was basically just kind of talking to me, and it was more so like, like, I'm super excited about, you living on your own and blah, blah, blah. Like, you're going to be responsible, da, da, da. And then she made a comment, that kind of really hit me the wrong way. And I remember I got really quiet and I just like my eyes teared up and I just started crying. And then she just like asked me, she was like, what? Like, what? Just tell me, tell me, tell me. And then she asked me the question. She was like, are you gay? And I was like, yeah. And that is probably that was probably the most liberating moment of my entire life that I've ever had. Being able to tell her that and just like stand in my truth and like affirming it. It's like, yes, I'm a gay man and I know that I'm a gay man and I don't know what the fuck I'm about to do, but we're gonna figure this shit out, you know? And so my experience, you know, coming out wasn't easy. You know what I mean? Long story short, you know, my mom and our relationship kind of fell off for a couple of years because I just think that she had a lot of growing to do. And you know what I mean? Like that goes back to when you say about parents and you think they're like superheroes and you think they're perfect. And she had her own growth to do, you know what I mean? Over these last, I guess, 10 years, really, about coming to the grips and then coming to the fact that her only son is gay. Right. And so my dad was super, super chill about it. He was basically like, okay, yeah, like we already knew. Like grandparents were like, yeah, we already knew. Like, okay, great. Like, what do you need? And it's not that my mom ever stopped loving me. She loves me unconditionally. I will never speak bad about my mom, but these are the facts. You know what I mean? And everybody's situation is different. Some people get kicked out. Some people don't have families. Some people have to find their gay families. Some people end up on the streets, homeless, you know, things like that. So I'm very blessed that even though my situation wasn't easy when I came out and, you know, like my relationship with my mom kind of fell off for a couple of years, I'm happy that I actually went through that, you know what I mean? Because it's only made me stronger. It's only made me more resilient and really just like having a like, I don't give a fuck attitude, you know? And so that's basically my coming out story. Atlanta was a entire book. If I could write it, and it would probably be about 12 chapters. I've had every experience possible. If you guys want to go into those details, you can ask me those questions, but I'm not going to give out that information just yet.
Well, can you give us one experience that you could say like, okay.
Okay. So when I was in Atlanta, so I was in Atlanta from 2006 through 2012. And it was, let's just put it like this. I could literally get picked up at a grocery store, at a gas station, at a red light. I experienced dating doctors, black lawyers, black businessmen. I experienced what it meant to be black, gay, and successful. You know what I mean? I saw every type of black gay man in Atlanta, really. I mean, that was my experience. And so that's how I knew, like, you know, being 18, 19, like that was possible, like as it is now that I'm 33, you know what I mean?
Right.
I was just like, wow, like the world of being black and being gay is so diverse, but it's also so complex and it's so beautiful. And I really do give my hats off to like my older brothers from Morehouse, a lot of the guys that I dated, you know, in Atlanta who kind of showed me the ropes and were like, you're the shit, you're going to be the shit. This is how you are going to be the shit, being black and gay and basically the shit. And so, yeah, I really do owe my growth and my experience of being black and gay to Atlanta, because those are some experiences that I will never have ever again in my life. And I really do hold all that like really close to my heart.
That's dope. That's really amazing. The amount of representation and the amount of mentorship and the amount of experience to be able to do that at such an
I mean, okay. I really look back, like if I were to close my eyes and just like really think about my entire experience in Atlanta, I experienced every single emotion that you could possibly think of being black and gay. You know what I mean? I experienced love. I experienced heartbreak. I experienced grief. I experienced just what it really means to be a brother, what it means to be a friend. I experienced what it means to have family who aren't blood related. I experienced other people's experiences, being whether they're trans or whether they identify as, you know, non-gender conforming or whatever, you know what I mean? My group of people that I came in contact with, or whoever I came in contact with, literally left a mark on my experience and my growth. And I'm really honestly, it will forever be grained in my heart for that. And I love that so much.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that you had that experience with so many like-minded individuals and so many, black people. Because to me, I don't know, I've just had heard and seen a lot of challenges in the black community, just a lot when it comes to being gay. I've
Yeah.
always heard the same saying over and over again. It's just like, you're black,
Yep.
and then you're adding this on
Yeah.
to it, and being a man as well, just what that
Yeah.
all comes
Mm-hmm.
with. And they're just like, why would you want to do this? And I always
Right.
would just think, like, what do you mean? You think it was a choice? Like,
Exactly.
this is
Exactly.
their life. They're being authentic. And
Yeah.
so I
Right.
don't see how you could question that.
Yeah.
But I just think about, things I've just seen online. I mean,
Hmm.
especially just black guys, well, not just black guys, but yeah, black men beating up other black men because
Yeah.
they think,
Right.
oh, if I beat him, he's gonna, that's gonna make a man out of him.
Yeah. Sure.
Or, or how, recently I feel like, not that they've left, just gay people alone, but now it's like turned into trans, and how, they're beating up trans people
Sure.
for no
Women.
reason,
Yeah.
Sure.
women, and they're
Mm-hmm.
just doing it, for the gram. When I'm just like, who the fuck is watching this shit? But I
Yeah.
mean, they feel like it's shock value, so they're just doing it. It's just something to
Yeah.
do. And I think, social media shines a light on a lot of things that have been going on for many years. That type of abuse,
Yeah.
that just wasn't it was talked about but not actually seen.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm really thankful that I have never had any experiences where, I was threatened. Um,
Hmm.
or, somebody was like, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna beat you up, or I was never bullied. I mean, I feel like I got along with pretty much everybody that I went to school with, that, I came in contact with, because like I'm always like, I believe in karma, and I'm like, if you do people wrong, that shit is gonna come back to you tenfold, right? So
Right.
I've always been the type of person where I vibe off good energy. Like, I don't like bullshit. I don't like, just like all that negative stuff. Like, I'm just like, be who you are, but like also respect other people who are being who they are. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like with the pride movement, or like, I think mainstream media has probably like often perceived it as like being white, right? And so like, in most of their energy, I feel like has been on like same-sex marriage. Like
Right.
that was like the
Right.
thing. That was like the thing. But like with Black gay pride, like it's more focused on like combating issues against like racism, homophobia,
Mm.
like lack of proper like health and mental care in the community, homelessness, and things like this. Because at the end of the day, like, yeah, we all gay. Like, yeah, I can look at somebody and be like, yeah, you white and you're gay, but I'm like, our experiences are totally different. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you have, just based off of the color of your skin, you have a lot more privilege than I do as a Black gay man. You know what I mean? Like, I have to work twice as harder. I have to do things, go above and beyond, and things like that. And so there's always been a battle of like, you being Black and gay, and I guess what you would call quote unquote successful, or like really coming into yourself. And then other people, I found sometimes in the Black community, community, they may look down on you. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you think you're better than
Mm.
us, blah blah blah. And it's just like, no, like my experience has been different, but like also too, like, you don't have to fall into this box, in this category of what people are trying to put you in. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I never was like, people are like, well, if you're gonna be Black and gay, you need to be masculine. You need to be I'm like, I'm just me, and I'm just being Cam. Like,
Right.
and that's all I know how to do. And so I really think like my just experience, and what I've learned and what I've seen is really attributed to just like who I am as a person. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
I genuinely like to think of myself as a good person. Like, I'm not perfect. I have flaws like anybody else, but I like to think of myself like just really as like a wholesome person.
Mm.
And one thing that, my friends always say is like, oh my God, Cam, you just like live so free. And I'm just like, yeah, because that is what ultimately will bring you happiness, like just living free. you know what I mean? And just being yourself. And, people always say like, I'm unapologetically myself. I'm like, yes, like that, but you need to like live that, you need to believe that, and you need to do that every single day of your fucking life. Because if you don't, it's like, it's almost like a waste, you know what I mean? And so I don't know, like my experience has just been it's been so crazy. It's been so great. I think I said I celebrated oh my God, wait, I can't even count. This is my 14th anniversary of coming out this year. So, and I feel like I come out every year with something new that I discovered by myself. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm getting deeper and deeper and deeper. Yeah.
Which is great because, I mean, growth. I mean, come on now. We all want
that. Don't we all come out every year with something deeper and deeper?
Yeah. Exactly.
Ooh, some stuff you wish you could
not come out with.
Yeah. Put it in a box and pack that shit up. I mean, this is called excess baggage for a reason. I love that you say that about you being so free, because I always thought that, like, while you were free, I was always curious if you ever felt like you couldn't be that way because of your family and, coming from a political family and having this, like, the namesake of like, this is our name, this is our legacy. Did you ever feel like it's like, I can't be as free, or I have to be this way?
So I will tell you, that was honestly my biggest struggle of being gay and being myself, because of my family and just kind of like the things that come with that. And I think people associate that with like, you have to be perfect, you always have to be on and things like that. And so I always found myself sometimes like kind of trying to shy away from that, because it didn't feel comfortable, and it didn't feel like I was being myself. And so there were a lot of times where I didn't speak up. I didn't do what I wanted to do. I didn't, I wasn't honest. Like, there were so many times, like, I can tell you there's so many lies that I've told about just myself and just not trying to get caught up and getting figured out. And, like, I can't mess around with you, or I can't do this because I feel like I was either going to get taken advantage of, or somebody was out to get me, or something like that. You know what I mean? So it was always like, I can't be myself because I'm so worried about like my family namesake. And so one thing that I learned probably around the time that I was like 20, 22 was that I was like, at the end of the day, life is going to go on. And that's like, period. Like, nothing else, like literally nothing else matters. And all that matters is that you're taking care of yourself. You know what I mean? Because just like anybody else, just like your parents, your grandparents, they came into this world, they had to figure it out. And so I've always been like, you made decisions, you made choices that probably weren't the best, but you figured it out. Right. And so I just kind of came to the point where I was just like, I'm myself, and this is who I am, and I'm living in my truth, and I'm embracing being Black, I'm embracing being a man, I'm embracing being gay, I'm embracing my sexuality, I'm embracing being free, I'm embracing being sexual, and just being a human being, you know what I mean? And so, yeah.
I never felt like I could be sexual. I know this is, I don't know. I feel like we're, I don't know, Black women are kind of over sexualized, and we're always, it seems, someone's trying to fulfill their fantasy or something along those lines. So I was always a little conservative.
But
may
also,
not necessarily
we're taught to be conservative as Black women as well. We're socialized to be conservative, even though society over sexualizes us.
Yes. And that is the thing that I absolutely hate about, sometimes that I really hate about our community, because other people can do it and get away with it, right? But when it comes to Black men, when it comes to Black women, if you're too sexual, you're a hoe. If you're but if you're a man, it's kind of like, oh yeah, well, that's what you're supposed to do. Like, in the Black gay community, there are so many different intersections and different lanes that we can talk about and go down. But I've always been somebody that has always said, if you are a sexual being, like, that's okay. That's how we were brought into this world, like, from people having sex. And so it's not always just about sex. I think for me, what it is just like really just understanding myself, you know what I mean? And just like what it means to be sexy and what it means to be confident and what it means to be all the things of being Black and gay. You know what I mean? Like some days, like I want to feel, I can feel masculine. Some days I want to feel a little more submissive and feminine. Some days I want to be overly sexual. Some days I want to be a little bit reserved. You know what I mean? And some days I want to talk about that. And some days I don't want to talk about it. But like, I think that people just put everything in a box, and it's just like, if you're not in this, then it's not right, but if you're doing this, it is right, you know? So it's just like so much. I'm just like, y'all just live free and just like let people do what the fuck they want to do.
At the end of the day,
honestly, if I was on here for another 2 hours and I told y'all about half the shit that I've done, honestly and truly, I mean, some stuff I'm like, I am very glad that I am still alive. I have done some crazy ass shit, but I mean, that's just a part of the experience, you know what I mean? So
absolutely.
Yeah,
I love that, and you deserve to have those experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you don't have experiences, it's just like you're actually not living, you know?
Right.
And sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm a little too experienced, but then I'm like actually no, it's kind of fine because, you know.
I'm a little too experienced. So It is Pride Month.
Yeah.
And, you know, I did want to have a conversation and talk to you about Stonewall and what that means to you and why you feel, because there was so many Black queer people on the front lines.
Yeah.
Making sure that, you know, we're always, that's one thing. I mean, I love and hate about Black people. We're always on the front lines helping other people or helping the cause. And I'm like, where the fuck are these people when it's our time? You know, people tend to shy away. We know what that's about. But what does that mean to you?
I feel like, so when it comes to like Black Pride, I feel like it's like the gateway to like the greater LGBTQ plus community. Because aside from anything else, like we all know Black people are the culture. We are the driving force behind culture, music, art, history, everything, right? And
all the things.
When it comes to being like Black and gay, the experience is like such a encouragement of awareness of yourself, community, like respect, dignity, like all these things. My experiences with actual Black Pride events, again, started in Atlanta. There was always a Black Pride. There were 2 Black Pride events, one in the summer and then one around MLK weekend. And so that was my experience, you know, being in Atlanta, going to school in Atlanta, going to these Black Pride events where there were like, you know, workshops, parties, events, like literally everything. And then of course I used to go to a Black Pride in Miami called Sizzle. So you can imagine Black men being in Miami on the beach, just all this like sea of beautifuln's, even though I don't know if that's actually a word.
It is today.
Yeah, it is today. But Black Pride is like so important because it's a way to like build solidarity, to promote unity in our community. Because a lot of times we go out to places and these places are not owned by Black gay men, right? So we're just going to somebody else's venue who does not look like us, taking our dollars and not really doing anything for us, right? And so it's almost like we're always at the bottom of the barrel, trying to like figure things out when it comes to mental health programming, when it comes to the fight against HIV/AIDS in the Black community. When it comes to housing and homelessness, and just like really just recognizing the history of Black gay people. Of course, we owe it to a lot of people like Bayard Rustin, who was a Black gay activist. He was basically one of Martin Luther King's right-hand men. A lot of Black men might not be able to tell you who he is, you know what I mean? But he's somebody who's important. I mean, of course, there's James Baldwin, there's Alvin Ailey, you know, there's Marsha Johnson, like all these iconic people that I can, you know, you can go on and on about them. But that's what Black Pride is to me. I love celebrating Black Pride. I love going to Pride events. I love being around my friends and my brothers. And I feel like it's really a time where people come together. It's just literally like a Black gay family reunion. That's what it is. That's how I describe it. I do feel like as the years are going on, there's definitely a lot of strides that have been made. So many things though, like that need to just be addressed. This issue of inclusiveness and just remembering that Black trans men and Black trans women are people.
Right.
They are included in our bubble.
Right.
Non-gender conforming Black queer people. You know what I mean? We it's so crazy because like we're all in a group together, but like we still sub out each group and ostracize. And it's sometimes it's like kind of crazy because like you're like, I'm Black and I'm gay. And then you're looking at another Black and gay brother or sister, and other people are like turning their nose down at them because they're trans or they're non-gender conforming or they're too feminine or they're too masculine or whatever. And it's just like, y'all, like, we would just do so much better if we just all just literally just came together, you know?
Right.
Yeah. So that's what Black Pride is to me, I guess. I don't know. I just was like talking. So, oof,
yeah. No, that was good. What? Yeah. What?
Do you feel like Black Pride is different here in California or in LA than it was in Atlanta or Miami?
Here's what I think about Black Pride in LA. I feel like it's very much so. It's like a scene thing. It's like who, and I don't want to be that person because I'm in an industry where it's like you always kind of got to be on.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of friends who are gay in the entertainment industry, but I do feel like it's like a play. You know, sometimes unless you really are invested and you kind of know about different programs and organizations who are really like on the ground doing the work. Again, you know, like I said, fighting all those issues. But other than that, I mean, my best prides were in Atlanta, and I'm not just saying that. LA, I go to Black LA Pride here, and I go to regular Pride. You know what I mean? I go to the parade, I do all the things, but it just was totally different because the concentration of Black gay men was so heavy. You know, but you know, I like to say these new gays, they be doing the most. I feel like an OG gay now.
What? Wow, you know what I was thinking? I was thinking like, although I wasn't in, you know, LA this weekend, but I felt like B Hen's party was like kind of like a Black gay pride, even though it was Juneteenth. I also was just like, every time I've gone to the crowd, it's like obvious that it's just so much, you know, so Black boy joy and so much queerness that you're just like, okay, I see y'all. And it was in June. So I was like, maybe this is kind of like, you know, I mean, a little bit.
That is definitely about an event like that, right? You know what I mean? Like, I love that because it brings people together from every section that you can think of. You know what I mean? You have your non-gender conforming, you have your trans folks, you have your gay men, you have your gay women, you have bisexual people, you have it all. Like everything is literally there. And it's such a beautiful thing to see because we don't have that many spaces where we can come together like that, you know? And so to be able to celebrate, you know, not only being Black, and it just so happens that Juneteenth is in June, which is Pride Month. Just that kind of intersection of all that is a really beautiful thing to witness. So yeah, that's actually a good point.
One thing I did want to say, like when you were talking about going to events and, you know, some of these owners are not, you know, they might be white, they might be something else.
Sure.
You know, I read an article about how they would host these events, but then they would charge the Black gays. But then if they had another event that wasn't specific to that, they wouldn't charge, or they would like hide the Hennessy. I read this crazy article where they'd be like, they wouldn't serve Hennessy at the bar or whatever, or they would hide it underneath because they thought that the Hennessy would make the Black gays too outrageous or too, you know, enjoy themselves too much. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, what? I mean, if we paying, what does it matter what you serving us?
Yeah, you know? I mean, that is just that's what you call ignorance.
Right.
And that is that, I mean, it's just literally pure ignorance because they're literally stereotyping, you know, a group of people who, I mean, yeah, Black gay men like to turn up. Like, we like to have a good time, but like also too, like, Black gay men like to have a good time. You know what I mean? Like, and we're literally bringing you, our dollars. We're bringing you an experience. We're bringing you our culture. We're bringing you our people. And so a lot of times, like, you know, I really don't go to events that are not put on by Black gay people. I'll go. Like, I'll go. I will go. And it's nothing. It's not saying like, you know, like I won't go because it's owned by a white person. Like, no. My thing is just like, if you don't want my money, then I don't need to be here, right? And so,
Right.
My ultimate goal, you know, somewhere in the next, you know, 5 years or so, is to really have my own venue spaces, you know, in LA, where I can rent them out to really my community, you know what I mean, to be able to use and recycle the dollar and you know, really provide all these different types of experiences, because I know that A, we need it, and two, we deserve it. Yeah.
True that. And I guess my last question would be,
Yeah.
since you are free and you do and you do live authentically, you know, you're one of my favorite people, just because I always felt like I knew that you had silent struggles and things that maybe you wouldn't necessarily talk about or tell me. And no, nothing, that doesn't mean anything. It's just like, you know, we all go through our own things.
Sure.
And you know, my mom always says, like, everybody's got their shit. They're gonna hold it close to them, and they're gonna go with it till the day they die. It's gonna be with them.
That's my shit.
You know, and so I was wondering if you had any tips, because you just said, you know, these new gays, these new Black gays. You're like, I feel like an OG. Like, do you have any tips for like anyone that's, you know, struggling to come out, or even being able to say, you know, I have pride, I am Black, and I am gay?
I think my thing is, have a close group of brothers that you can trust, and find that whatever. I mean, because, you know, a lot of gay people, again, who can't necessarily come out or have come out and got kicked out, that's where houses come from, like gay houses come from, right? And so, you know, people may not know the history of, like, if you go to a ball and like there's like House of Balenciaga, the House of Tishi, the House of Vuitton, whatever it is. These houses have gay mothers, gay fathers who basically step in as actual parents for gay, you know, younger gay kids who have gotten kicked out or been beaten up or, you know, are homeless or whatever. And so my thing is, like, really find a family, you know what I mean? People that you can trust, people that you can confide in, people that you really know truly have your back. I'm super blessed because I have such an amazing circle of friends, gay Black men that I love so much, that I would go to the depths of the earth for, that have gone to the depths of the earth for me, who have, you know, extended their families to me. I've extended my family to them. And so that's like really the advice that I would give. And just really, you know, as hard as this may seem, because it's easier said than done, but it's just like, be confident in yourself and just know that you are capable, that you're deserving, that you're able to do and to be the person that you were put on this earth to be. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, there'll be a lot of naysayers, there'll be a lot of haters, there'll be a lot of, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. But it's like, that's just literally loud noise and it's bullshit, you know? And so for any, you know, any younger gay men that are listening to this, Black men that are listening to this, I just say, do you, because it's gotten me places that I never could have imagined in my life, you know, just to always be me. And yeah, just like be who you are. Like, don't try to be anybody else. You know what I mean? Just be you.
That's a word.
Yeah.
Live loud and be proud.
I want to ask, for people who are in the Black community who are not gay, what is something that you, like, y'all community needs from us? How can we do better?
My thing is, like, with people that are not gay in the Black community, it's like, okay, there's two things. Mind the business that pays you.
There you go.
Because people like to insert themselves in other people's lives about who they sleeping with, what they doing, and it has absolutely nothing to do with you as a person.
That.
I don't like your opinion. Everybody has an opinion. They're like assholes.
Right.
Everybody has it. You know what I mean? And so my thing is just like, stay out of people's business, mind the business that pays you, but also like support the people, because these people are actually supporting you.
Right.
My thing is like, a lot of people don't realize, I'm like, Black gay people and gay people really in general are really actually running the entire world.
I mean, they're hiring them as their stylists, their makeup artists. I mean, they're doing all the work, but then not getting, the credit that they deserve.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, black gay people are literally running the world. And so
lawyers, doctors. I mean,
I will also say to my to my non-Black gay folk, listen, okay? If you really want to be about that life, don't front. Like, don't put on this facade like you down. But then like when shit really hits the fan, you go ghost, or like you're only around for like performative like allyship, or you know what I mean? You only want to, hit us up on these hookup apps because you want some BBC, or you want to be in the mix and all this other shit. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. That's probably me just talking shit, and whatever. Whoever hears this, like, I love y'all just as much as I love anybody else. So
And I always say, just stop living a double life. Like, if you are who you are, like you said, just be you. It's so much easier. It's so much easier.
Because I was living a double life in high school, and it was a lot to balance. I'm like, oh, I'm over here trying to go get some, this, and then I gotta act like I'm with this. Like, oh, this is a lot.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting. It was so exhausting. Like that, Katrina, that was the word. It was so exhausting. I'm like, I'm over here trying to like please a girl, but I'm over here also like in love with a man. Like, this is too much.
Way too much.
So this next segment is called Roses.
Yes, Cam, you're new here. Yes. So every week we give our roses to someone, because everybody in the Black community is always, well, not even Black community, I would say everybody is always saying, give them their roses while they're still here. Who are you giving? Right. You got to show up, give them your roses. And I'm always like, yeah, but they be the first ones in the, at the funeral in the front row, boo-hoo crying, knowing that they wasn't there for the person as much as they should have been. Right. So it's, giving your roses to, someone that inspires you.
Sure.
Or whoever you feel like needs it.
Right. So my roses, if he ever hears this, amazing, like, great. I love it. I'm going to give my roses to Dwayne Wade. And the reason why is because he has literally been the epitome of what it means to love unconditionally.
Absolutely.
And, dealing with having Black kids, and one of your kids comes to you who was born male and says that they feel like they are female. I cannot even imagine how much that was to deal with him, especially because he is an NBA player.
Right.
And that kind of industry or that field can be a little toxic when it comes to masculinity and what that means, right? And I'm sure there are a lot of NBA players, a lot of athletes who are basically in the closet because of, the possibility of like losing a contract, or like, being ostracized from society. And it fucking sucks. It really does, because these are people, they're human beings, and they do the same shit we do. They wipe their ass just like us. You know what I mean? And it's just about who they love, right? And so with Dwayne Wade, one thing he said that really stuck out to me, he said, I have to say to most parents, get to know your kids. Don't put your wants and needs on them. And that really stuck with me, because him and Gabrielle Union, literally, that is like the epitome of a Black father proudly accepting his daughter and really saying to the world, fuck y'all. You know what I mean? Like, You're
Pretty
not gonna put me
much.
in this box. She deserves everything that she was born to see and born to get and born to do. And just how he's handled it with the media and just their family, like really my hat's off to him. And like I want to be a parent one day. And you know what I mean? Like I want to be able to love my kids unconditionally, regardless of whatever faults or flaws or whatever they have. You know what I mean? And so yeah, that's who I give my roses to. Kudos to you, Dwayne Wade. You the shit.
Shout out to D Wade
Yeah.
and
Shout
the
out.
entire family for
Yeah.
showing
It's,
up in the
it's
way
so
that
it's
they
so
have.
beautiful. Yeah, it's amazing. Like to see a black family who is so prominent and so well known, to have this situation and to just be out and proud and just yeah, like this is what it means to like love your kids. This is what it means to be a unit. This is what it means to love on black kids. This is what it means
Right.
to support black kids, like regardless of whatever it is. So yeah, that's what I give my roses to today.
Yeah. And I love the way that they are because I don't feel like she is too, in the scene. You know how some people is like, okay, this is now our cause. So
Yeah,
everything is going to be
Right.
about this. And I
yeah,
feel like they're just living. They're just being a
Yeah.
family. I don't feel like it's a commercial that's like I want to repeat, you
yeah,
know?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
that's beautiful. So I guess who am I going to give my roses to this week? I was in New York and, I love the culture of New York and just, I love everything about New York. Every time I go there, I always think, can I live here? And then I quickly remember that mama is not going to be in the winter like that. Like I can't do it. I can't see me, being in snow. I can't see any of that. And getting on subways and just no, it's too much.
A whole
But
different life.
it's a whole different life. But I was watching this documentary about Dick Gregory. And, while he was a comedian, he was a real life freedom fighter. Like he was in the front lines on the marches and like to his dying breath, like he was all about that blackness. And it just made me think of all the people whose life stories we don't know. Today we're talking about pride, and I think about the Harlem Renaissance and how really, we're talking about pride. If we're talking about activism and the arts and just being free, there were so many people, queer, straight,
Yeah.
everything, just there.
One
Just it was
person
kind of
who I
like,
was actually named after Mr. Langston Hughes, by the way.
yes. Shout out to Langston. But yeah, it's just those people, they had it right, man. They had it right. And some of them will never know who they were.
Right.
There's so many people that were a part of that we won't
Yeah.
know. And so, I just hope that as the years go on, more and more research, more and more projects, more and more documentaries shine lights on these people because they deserve to have their flowers given to them. So that's what I'm giving my roses to.
Nice.
Shout out to the freedom fighters, those we know and don't know.
Yes.
Yes.
Ashe.
So Katrina, who are you giving your roses to?
I'm going to give my roses to all of the individuals out there who are managing the many intersections of their identity. Because we're talking about being Black and gay today, but there are so many other intersections that we are all dealing with on a regular basis that we have to constantly battle while being Black, while being a woman or a man or being gay or American or whatever, all the intersections that we have to deal with. And so just giving my flowers to all of the people who are struggling in it, because it's hard. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And we have to constantly fight battles on a daily basis that sometimes go seen or unseen and unrecognized. So shout out to everybody who's experiencing these things and moving through them.
Yes, you're not alone. Every day I'm somebody else, but I'm still Marlena.
Like, who am I going to be today?
Or who am I going to be seen as today?
That's true.
Right? Because
Right.
sometimes it's not even who I want to be. It's how people are going to perceive me.
Yeah.
It's true.
Perception is such a fucked up thing.
Yeah, it's fucked
It
up.
really
Don't
is.
just let people be. Come on. I can't. Well, Cal, that was Another episode of Excess Baggage. First of all, I want to thank you for being here, for taking the time out of your schedule. I know that you're a busybody like all of us.
I am, yeah.
And I just appreciate you for always being who you are and just being kind and being a friend that I can call at a moment's notice and ask for something. Whatever it is, without question, you'll be there. And I think that really is a testament to your family, your background, how you were raised, and really our foundation and how we're all connected. The three of us going to K. Anthony, and it was all Black pretty much. And the fact that we still resonate with all those values that they taught us, at such a young age, and that we're able to stay connected. And, life is going to take us in many different directions. And I feel confident in knowing that I'll always have you and you'll always have me. So thank you for being here.
Oh, yeah.
And thank you for sharing your story, because you and I are not as close as you and Marlina are, but for you to come on and share your story feels really good. So we appreciate you.
Well, no, I really appreciate it. I was actually, it's so funny. I was at the gym and I got a text message from my boo, and he was like, don't you need to be back at home to be recording this podcast? And I was like, no, I'm gonna get in traffic. And I literally was flying up La Cienega with no gas in my car, and then stopped again, got gas as soon as I could hit the corner. So I'm so happy that we did this, and I'm really appreciative of you guys. So blessed to have known you guys for basically my entire life. And wish you guys nothing but the best and success with the podcast. And I love you guys so much. And again, thank you guys for having me on. And remember what I said: be Black, be gay, and be proud.
Amen.
Ashe.
Well, that's another episode of Excess Baggage.
Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Excess Baggage Pod. That's Excess Baggage POD. Be sure to like, subscribe, and review on the podcast app and Spotify.
And remember to pack light and keep it tight.
Faux show.